Hi. We've been doing this thing for quite a while now. Me uploading my videos and you clicking the like button and subscribe even sometimes. But I feel like it's time to take this relationship to a new level. Do you know what I mean? To go beyond what we've done before, and there's just something I have to admit before we go any further. And I've seen videos of people doing it, and I've researched it on the internet and everything, but I'm a Stefan Feld virgin. No, wait, don't run. I know it's a bit weird, right? It's just, I've always been like an outsider looking in on all the people playing Charge, and I've even been on a Castles of Burgundy podcast without actually having ever played the game. But it's okay, I figured it out, I know what to do. I have went and bought Aquasphere, the newest creation by the acclaimed board game designer who's as much revered as, Rainer Knizia or Uwe Rosenberg. And this is how I pop my Stefan Feld cherry. That was good. Different than what I expected, but very good nonetheless. Stimulating, I would say. And the reason I find Aquasphere so stimulating as a game, I think it's because it's an incredibly colourful game. It looks like a pack of Skittles vomited all over your table. And it's not just that, it's the eclectic theme as well. You're scientists in an underwater station, and you're trying to collect black crystals and octopods, whatever an octopod might be, and it's all the funky little pieces like the submersible. And yeah, it's not just that as well. It's the sort of feeling when you lay out the board that everything clicks together. There's a sense of cohesiveness and logic, elegant design, which is sometimes present in Eurogames, and it's just so wonderful to see that everything makes sense. It's not just the fact that the research cards or the laboratory modules have like perfect placement on the board, but it's that feeling that when they made the game, everything fitted for a reason. There was a purpose to make everything the way it was, and I really, really admire that. But it's not just the aesthetics that are elegant in Aquasphere, it's the gameplay as well. It's incredibly nuanced, and once you start reading the rulebook, it kind of blows your brain a little bit, because you think, oh my god, I have no idea how to play this game. But actually, once you sit down and start doing it, you realize that it's incredibly simple, because there's only two things you can do in the game. You can either program a bot to do an action in the underwater station, or execute that action. That's it. That's literally the game, right? And to make matters even simpler, you think at first, is the fact that you can only program your bots to do certain actions. And see, let's say your scientist is blue, right? And he is at the start of his round. That means he's only going to be able to do one of two things. You see this circle here? This is like kind of a pathway that you have to learn how to navigate, and especially if it's your first time, then you kind of look at it and you go, oh my god, I don't know which way I want to go, but I know where I want to end up in the end. And once you have traversed this path, because every time you do want to program an action, you have to advance forwards, you think, I've got it, I know what to do now, this is okay, I've got a handle on it. But obviously the next time you do it, there's a card that says, actually these programmable actions, they're going to be distributed completely differently on this board, and you're going to have to relearn the whole thing all over again. But that's not it. This large circle on the center of the board is not just a visual representation of the seasonal change of your grandmother's hair color. It is actually where you do all the things that you program your bots to do. And the way it works is basically you have one of these scientist dudes on the board as well, not just over here, and he's going to move to a location that you program. So say you program to hunt octopods with your robot, because everyone wants to see robots fighting giant purple squids. And then you basically need to be in the area where you want to hunt those octopods, and then when you take the action, you will place one of your bots. So if you're yellow, you're going to take it from your sheet and move the bot that exists in that area all the way over here, and then you will be able to pick up these octopods and score points. Most of the things you do in this game either score points or help you score points. There's two different types of scoring in Aquasphere. There's the intermediate scoring that happens in between rounds, and there's also final scoring at the end of the game that gives you knowledge points for different things. And knowledge points are nothing like victory points at all, in that they do nothing else but provide you a way to win the game. Okay, the important thing in Aquasphere is placing these bots after you completed an action in the area where you completed the action at. And the reason it's important is because if, let's say, you're red and you were going to place your bot here, you're going to kick out the yellow bot that was already here and put it in this holding bay. Now, you score at the end of every round for having the most areas that you control, and you control them by being in the center over there. And the other knock-on effect that it does is when this holding bay fills its capacity limit, and the capacity limit is dependent on the number of players, a number of bots will go back to their players, back onto their sheets, and that's not good, because you kind of want less and less on these on your sheet, because you see there's knowledge points listed here on this sheet, and then there's these submarines that kind of unlock the ability to gain these knowledge points. So the more submarines you place in this underwater station, the more knowledge points you can get by placing your bots into the station. I know this is confusing, but bear with me. You see, actually, Aquasphere is not really a complicated game. I think it masquerades itself as a complicated game. But all you have to do is you have to look at this wheel and you have to see, oh god, what am I able to do this round? And where am I on the board? And what is the best way to gain knowledge points? And there are so many possibilities, and you want to do everything, but you have to very quickly realize, actually, I should probably just focusing on getting black crystals, or I should just probably focus on hunting octopods, or I should probably focus on placing submarines, which I think is actually a trap and not a very good way to win the game. And as long as you kind of narrow down on that very one path, you're going to be okay. And this is where the problems start to creep up with Aquasphere. The game is incredibly analysis paralysis prone. Oftentimes you will have a plan in terms of what you're going to do this round, but somewhere halfway through the round you realize that your plan's not going to work, so you have to salvage that entire situation and rethink a new strategy. And because you know what resources are going to be placed next round, and because you know what actions you'll be able to take next round, you have quite a lot to think about. And it's nice that that minimizes variance and lets you play a very thinky game, but I think this is just a game for people who like very thinky games. And yes, there is a theme in Aquasphere, and octopods and black crystals are kind of cool, but to me it feels very much pasted on. I think there's a lack of thematic cohesiveness, if you will, because you never actually feel like you're in this underwater station. You just feel like you're solving a puzzle for knowledge points. And I think that's okay, because the strength of the mechanic carries the game on its own. You know, there's so many little details in this game where, for example, if you wanted to take an action that you realize you can't, you can always spend free time markers per turn and program a bot to do any action that you like. And there are a lot of ways to come back from a bad situation, which I think is great. And I think that's what, to me, makes the game interesting and playable. Because if it was just the pure battle of the bronze, where you can see so far ahead in terms of what's going to happen, and you start guessing what other people are doing, then it just feels dry. And this already feels dry, but the combat mechanics, I think, make this game much better than it is. This was my first Stefan game, and I did enjoy it. I played it about 4 or 5 times, but I think for me, it's time to leave Aquasphere behind. I'll probably write it a letter explaining how I feel, or maybe even make a video, and just move on to, I don't know, Castles of Burgundy maybe. I don't know what awaits me. But on the buy, play, or stay away scale, I think this is a play. Play it, see if you like it, and if you really do like it, then you might want to keep it. So I wanted to address the elephant in the room this time, being that we haven't really published a video in about 5 or 6 weeks since our Star Wars Armada review, and I just wanted to say a really big thank you to everyone who left nice comments on that video, because it kind of motivated us to keep doing this, even though we didn't have a very good time lately in terms of our personal lives, and that's probably what prevented us from doing more videos on time. And I just wanted to say we're going to try and keep doing these as often as possible, and maybe we won't necessarily be the most regular people, but we'll definitely try to put all our love and care into each and every one of those. And we don't do this for any kind of profit. There's no, like, at least at the moment, you know, maybe if things change and there's a huge audience, and we obviously have to rethink that, but there's no, like, Kickstarter or Patreon, or, you know, there's no sponsors or anything like that. We just do it because we really like doing these videos. And so the way you can help us out, and the way you can make sure, like, that we are motivated to do more and more of these, is by liking us on Facebook, following on Twitter, and leaving a comment and leaving a like, or saying what you did like, or saying what you didn't like if you didn't like something, because actually that's also very useful. And I just wanted to say I love you all. Thanks for watching, and I really appreciate it. And next video actually should be much sooner than the one before, and you'll find out about it if you follow us on one of these things or whatever. So we're like one big happy family, octopods and people holding hands together, like in a Beatles song.